Well, welcome to Living Beyond Limits. You all know who I am and what we're doing. So I invite you to join me in reading our mission statement that's on the front of your bulletin. We are a sanctuary where people can discover and reveal the presence of God within their own being and experience their oneness with all life. Through the realization of this inner presence of love and peace, we give way to the evolutionary impulse of the divine and become a beneficial presence in the world. So that's what we are doing here at Living Beyond Limits, as we are giving ourselves the opportunity to remember that, yes, indeed, we are each spiritual beings at our core. That one presence and that one power, that one life, that one beingness that expresses itself in and through and as this physical universe expresses in and through and as each one of us. That means then that we are the microcosm of the macrocosm, that what is true of spirit in its infinity is true for us on a smaller scale. Not a lesser scale, just a smaller scale. So the love that spirit is lives within us. The wholeness that spirit is the truth of who we are. The peace of spirit, the harmony, the balance, the order, all of those things are inherent to our own beingness. And you know what happens then is as we awaken to that, and then we move out into the world from that perspective, we bring something different. We aren't such victims to what happens in the world. It puts us in a place of choice, in a place of power where we can bring those qualities of peace and love and harmony and abundance and generosity and goodness into the world all of the time, because it doesn't have to happen out there for it to happen in here. And so as we do that, we participate in our own evolution as we walk this path, and it affects the whole because everything is connected to everything else. And so I do absolutely thank each and every one of you for bringing your light into this world in a way that does make a difference. Thank you for that. And so last week I talked about wholeness. And I talked about the fact that one of the core teachings at Centers for Spiritual Living says that we are each inherently whole. That wholeness is our natural state. And so I'm going to expound on that a little bit today. Because, you know what, as human beings, we oftentimes see ourselves as somehow less than whole. We see ourselves sometimes as broken, or as damaged, or as somehow less than. We sometimes think that there somehow is something missing within us sometimes, or that we're lacking in some way. We sometimes think that we're just not good enough, or perhaps even there's something in you or me that thinks that we are inseparably damaged by something that happened in our past. Whether it's a childhood experience or a bad relationship or the loss of somebody in our life. And then we hold on to that it has somehow affected us. I'd like to share a story with you. It says, a woman walking through an old forest noticed a towering oak tree whose trunk had been split years earlier by lightning. One side was scarred and hollowed, its bark rough and dark where the strike had passed through. Yet above the scar, branches stretched wide into the sky. Leaves shimmered in the sunlight. Birds nested within its limbs, and squirrels raced along its branches as if nothing had happened. She stood for a long time looking at the tree and realized something important. The lightning had changed its appearance, but not its essence. It had never lost its belonging to the forest, its connection to the earth, or its ability to grow toward the light. Perhaps we are like that tree. Life leaves its marks on us: loss, disappointment, grief, regret. We may mistake those experiences for proof that we are damaged or incomplete. But nature tells a different story. The oak does not question its worth because of its scar. Maybe wholeness is not something we achieve someday. Maybe wholeness is what remains true about us even after the storms. Buddhism teaches that our wholeness is not erased by struggle, uncertainty, or imperfection. Even when life comes apart, something deeper remains intact. We are not whole only when we feel peaceful, successful, or healed. We are whole because the full range of human experience belongs within the larger life of the soul. You know, I know that every single one of us, we want to experience that we are enough. That's how we want to live our lives, feeling like we are enough. We want to know that we aren't limited, but that instead we have the freedom to be who we want to be in the world, that we have the freedom to be who we want to be, to have the relationships that we want to have, to pursue the things we want to pursue, and we want to know that we are capable of doing the things that we want to do. The truth is, we are not limited. We are spiritual beings. We are not limited in principle. We are only limited by our ideas and our beliefs and our perspectives. And so the title of my message today is Already Whole. And I'm talking about the fact that we are always and already whole, because we are wholeness, the wholeness of spirit in form, and that doesn't change. So knowing that we are whole influences in our lives what we do and what we don't do. It influences how we behave and what we think. It influences our mental, emotional, and physical health. Holly for lighting a candle for that. The problem is that we so often forget who and what we are. We forget that the infinite potential of life, of the universe, exists within us, that it is part of our makeup, and that that also exists as the very fabric of our lives. We forget that wholeness is the capital T truth of who we are. Ernest Holmes said, "There is something within you, beyond all doubt and fear, something which has never been limited by your acts or destroyed by your feeling. This is the only something that can make you whole." That is our own spiritual nature. That is the wholeness within us, the wholeness that we identify with. So thinking that we are somehow our past or our feelings or our limiting beliefs just is not true. It simply isn't true. So our job then, as I see it, is to recognize and to remember who and what we are. To identify with the capital T, that within us which is eternal and unchanging, that which is whole. To identify with that principle of wholeness that lives within us, to identify with the power and the order and the harmony and the wholeness and the perfection that is the essence of what we have come here as. So at Centers for Spiritual Living, one of the things that we teach is that there is nothing to be healed, only truth to be revealed. There's nothing to heal, only truth that needs to be revealed in our lives. The revelation of that capital T truth is greater than an experience of a lesser truth. So let me explain that to you. That would mean then that illness is actually an incomplete perception of the truth of our wholeness. That feeling less than somehow in this world is an incomplete perception of the truth of our wholeness. the truth of our beauty, the truth of the power that you are. Lack, experiencing lack in our lives, is an incomplete perception of abundance, of opulence, of flow. So what happens is the lesser experience dissipates in the realization and recognition of a larger truth, of a capital T, unchanging truth. When we remove our energy from believing the lesser is capital R, real and unchanging, then there's nothing to keep it alive. There's nothing to animate it. There's nothing to energize it, because there is no power in this universe to keep it alive. It's only our perspective that's keeping it alive. It's like turning on a lamp. The shadows disappear when the lamp comes on. In the light of truth, that which is not capital T true disappears. So we reveal wholeness when we let go of the ideas that we are somehow less than spirit in form. When we cease identifying with our brokenness or our woundedness. When instead we identify with spirit. When we identify with our own essential nature. That is what creates healing of body and healing of affairs. There's a story that says, the parable about the man at the pool of Bethesda in Jerusalem that speaks perfectly about our wholeness. There were a lot of disabled people, blind, crippled, diseased, hanging around the pool because the belief was that once a year an angel would disturb the water, cause ripples, and the first one in the pool would be healed of their affliction. The story goes that there was a guy that had been there for 38 years. The story goes that there was a guy for 38 years. He was never the first one in the water. One day Jesus saw him there and said, "Do you want to be healed?" The man said, "I have no one to help me into the pool." Jesus said, "Will thou be made whole?" And the man said, "Every time I try to get in the water, someone beats me to it." And Jesus said, "Rise and take up thy bed." And the guy said, "I can't." And Jesus says, "Oh, just do it for God's sake." That's a paraphrase. And with that, the man stood up and was healed. Jesus knew that the man had formed his own set of beliefs. And he was telling him to rise up above his limiting consciousness and to realize his wholeness. He said, you gotta move. There comes a time when we just gotta rise up, standing on the solid rock of belief. We take action. We move. We have to move our consciousness from the belief in lack and limitation and less than, and perceive that which is greater. That has always been present in your life, that has always been present within you. Healing comes out of that recognition of truth. So we hold beliefs of wholeness. That at our core, we are a wholeness that cannot be destroyed or damaged or diminished in any way. That is the essence of who we are. Ernest Holmes said, there is a universal wholeness seeking expression through everything. It only needs an opening in us to get our unbelief out of the way so that it can flow forward into our lives, so that wholeness can be revealed. So it's beliefs that create an avenue for healing, an avenue for revealing wholeness, revealing capital T truth. So what happens is when we recognize a higher truth, and we know that it is true, it changes our thinking. And when our thinking changes, it changes our feelings. And when our thinking and our feelings both change, it changes our physical bodies and it changes the physical affairs in our lives. So let me give you some examples of how that works. This is a true story. A 26-year-old man had been struggling with depression and had enrolled in a clinical trial for an experimental antidepressant. Like many drug studies, it was double-blind. Neither he nor his doctors knew whether he was receiving the actual medication or a placebo. Every day he took the capsules, believing they may contain a powerful new treatment. One day, overwhelmed by despair after a difficult personal setback, he decided to end his life. He swallowed all the pills that he had left, 29 capsules, and then rushed to the emergency room. "Help me," he said. "I took all my pills," he told the staff before collapsing to the floor. He dropped the empty pill bottle as he fell. Doctors moved quickly, and although he remained conscious, he was pale, lethargic, frightened, and had dangerously low blood pressure. He received intravenous fluids as physicians prepared for the effects they expected from an antidepressant overdose. Yet something puzzled them. His laboratory tests were normal, and they could not explain why his condition was continuing to deteriorate. Eventually, a researcher involved in the clinical trial arrived at the hospital with the study records. The sealed code was opened. The young man had not been taking the experimental antidepressant after all. For the entire study, he had been assigned to the placebo group. The 29 capsules he swallowed contained no active medication whatsoever. They were inert pills. As soon as he learned this, his anxiety visibly eased. Within a short time, his blood pressure returned to normal, and his symptoms rapidly disappeared. He was discharged from the hospital later that day. Just as positive expectations can promote healing, negative expectations can produce real and measurable physical symptoms. His body had responded not to chemicals in the pills, but to his belief about what those chemicals would do. Is that amazing? I'm going to share a second one with you. It says in 2002, researchers set out to answer an uncomfortable question. Was a common knee surgery for arthritis actually helping patients, or was something else at work? They enrolled 180 people with painful osteoarthritis of the knee. Some patients received the standard arthroscopic surgery. Others underwent a remarkable procedure. They were taken into the operating room, given anesthesia, and the surgeon made small incisions in their knee. But no surgery was actually performed. The patients didn't know which treatment they had received, and neither did the doctors who followed their recovery. Months later, the results stunned the medical community. Patients who received the placebo surgery improved just as much as those who had received the real operation. They reported less pain, better mobility, and an improved quality of life. Even years later, there was still no meaningful difference between the groups. I know they've done that with back surgeries, an incision, no surgery is done, and the people heal or have the experience of being healed without anything being done. It is our belief that creates the experience. So our belief creates our experience. We believe we can, and then we can. We believe that there are possibilities, and possibilities open up. Or do we just see the possibilities that had been there all along, just like the possibility of healing had been there all along? We see that the wholeness of spirit is our very essence, because everything contrary to that is just a partial perception. Remember, it creates room within us for healing. And so I have a meditation that I would like to invite you to join me in. So if you would like to close your eyes and to just kind of settle into yourself, that place of stillness within you. And as you breathe, turning your attention inward, just rest in this truth. Beneath the many roles you play, beneath the thoughts that come and go, beneath the places where you may have questioned yourself or wondered if you were enough, there is something greater. Capital something, capital greater. Something eternal and unchanging. There is something within you that has never been broken, never been diminished, never been separate from the divine. It is your own beingness. Here you are whole. For at your essence, you are wholeness itself. As we identify with our divine essence, ideas of not being enough fall away. We move beyond doubts or feelings of limitation. We move past old wounds and discover the wholeness that has always been. Like the ocean and its waves, you are never separate from the infinite source of all life and of everything. A wave may rise and fall, changing shape, and move through different experiences, but it is always the ocean. In the same way, you are always part of infinite love, of wisdom, and the wholeness of spirit. Nothing outside of you can add to your worth, and nothing that happens can take away from your inherent beauty or value or wholeness. I invite you to silently say to yourself, I am already whole within myself. Allow yourself to rest in this knowing. I am whole. I am complete. I am an expression of divine wholeness. I am. And so we just rest in this consciousness of wholeness for a moment. And so I invite you to take a couple of deep breaths. Gently carrying this awareness with you. And as you return to the room, remember that the wholeness you have touched in this quiet moment is not something that you leave behind. It is the truth of who you are. Always present, always available, always within you. And when you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes and bring your awareness back to the room, to the seat you're in, to your feet on the floor, to you inhabiting your body. And so my invitation to you this week is to do some sort of spiritual practice that moves you beyond your ego identification, that helps you to know that you are more than your personality, that you are more than your experiences, you are more than your thinking and your feeling, that you are capital M more than all of this which is physical. Whether you do that through meditating or through readings, things that are spiritually inspiring, like the reading that Dietrich did for us today, whatever it is that helps you move in your thinking beyond your rational, everyday, egoic perspective to something greater. And affirm your wholeness, affirm your power, affirm your spiritual magnificence daily, because it is who you are. And as a result, you'll be moving past your self-imposed limitations, because that's really all that they are, and experiencing an expanded life with greater freedom in your mind and greater freedom in your body and greater freedom in your life. And so blessings to each and every single one of you as you walk this earth path, remembering who you are at your very essence and bringing that forward into your life. So blessings to you. And so I invite you to join me in consciousness as we turn our attention to the capital T truth. The truth that there is only one. There is only one power. There is only one presence. There is only one life. There is only one beingness. And it is the very essence of infinite potentiality, of absolute creativity, of goodness without bound, and that it is continuously and constantly pouring itself forward as this material life that we are living. That everything that we see is sourced and animated and buoyed and uplifted by this one. For indeed, everything that we see, everything that we are, our entire life is simply the outpicturing, the outpouring, the personification of spirit, knowing itself as form. That means then that the form that we see is never limited, for it is spirit being expressed. And what is true of spirit in one moment is eternally true of spirit in every moment. That it is the very essence of peace. That the fabric of what it is love and wholeness and goodness and beauty. That we are each that here in form. And so I know right now that as we turn our attention to that, as we open our minds and our thinking and our beliefs to that, wholeness pours itself forth and acts as healing in our bodies and healing in our affairs. For in reality, there is nothing to limit us except our belief. And so today we open ourselves to new beliefs, to new perspectives, to seeing things from a higher perspective, which is a perspective that we have always known at the very core of our being. That there is only this one. And we are it, and it is us, and there's nothing else to be. And so whatever has been looking in our lives like it is not whole, recognizing that it is an incomplete perception, turning to that one, we recognize that there is nothing to sustain it, for there is only this power. And in that same light, I recognize that this is the same truth about every single one of our politicians. It is the same truth about every world leader. That one is expressing itself in them, as them, through them. And so there is no limitation. There is only a power of peace and wisdom and integrity and harmony and order and love. And so we open ourselves to that perspective, knowing that even if we have not been able to see it until now, we see that is true right now. And our seeing it creates room for it to come forward. And so we hold this to be the truth today. And out of that comes choices that support humanity, choices that are good for all people and for the planet. Choices that create heaven on earth. And so when things get chaotic in the world, I turn back to that truth, knowing that even here, even now, this is true. And so I release this prayer into the creative law of the universe, knowing that it is reflected right back at us. And we hold it as truth. And I say, and so it is. So I do have a couple of invitations for you. Next week we're having a picnic in the park, Sunday service and picnic in the park out here. So we invite you to come. Bring a friend if you'd like to. Bring a chair to sit in. And bring something to share if you'd like to participate in the potluck. We'd love to see you there. We are going July 30th to a concert in the park at Del Val Park in Lakewood to see Creedence Clearwater Revival cover band. So the concert starts at 6:30. We're inviting you to show up at 5:30. We will have someone there that will be saving a space for us, but we still need you to bring your chairs and set all that kind of stuff up. So if you think that you will possibly be going, will you raise your hand? Fun, very fun. I look forward to it. I think it's going to be super fun. I forgot to put this in here, but we're also talking about going to Point Furman Lighthouse, where Mike Winterer is a docent, and going on a tour. So we would go over there on a weekday, probably have a picnic. We're going to go to the lighthouse first. Go to the lighthouse and have Mike give us a tour, and then go have a picnic afterwards, so bring a sack lunch. So we're going to do that on a weekday. If you are interested in doing that, I'm hoping for a Thursday. If you can go on a Thursday and you want to go, if you want to go and you can't go on a Thursday, all right, I'm going to pick a date, and we're going to set it up with Mike, and I'll let you know what date we choose. If there's a date that doesn't work for you, let me know. You already know our Sunday talks are available on our website. We have prayer support after service and prayer shawls in the back. And we invite you to check in on Meetup and say you're coming, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, to sign up on our website as a member. If you haven't yet done that, Mike Winter can help you get signed up, so you have access to sign up for things on our website and to have information, and the directory is going to be online and that kind of stuff. You can, when you become a member, you can go on and you can sign up to bring snacks. So when it occurs to you on a Wednesday night, you can still go in and sign up. And you can sign up weeks ahead. You will get an email on Monday that says, don't forget, you're going to bring snacks this Sunday. And then you get another email on Friday or Saturday? Saturday that says, don't forget, you signed up to bring snacks, so you won't forget. Awesome. So I think it's so cool. So once you become a member, then you can sign up, and we're going to start using the sign-up sheets online too. So I invite you to repeat after me, good fills my life now.
Good fills my life now.
I recognize it. I savor it. I love it. And I live it. And so it is.